Hi, first I just want to show you this 90% win rate at max rank Duelist Cup, playing against all other meta decks. If this doesn't count as anti-meta, I don't know what else does. While it might be beneficial for me conceal decklist until event is over, but I don't have the time to compete 3 days non-stop for top rank, so I decided to share it, which might help you either play it or find counter. Multiple people have also confirmed made to master one with similar deck. As always, decklist is provided in the description. Before we begin, let's talk about the VIP card in this list. Time-Tearing Morganite, a recently released card, which has effect for the rest of the duel. You cannot activate monster effects in the hand seem like a restriction, but this deck runs 0 hand trap, so it's a non-issue. What we want is draw 2 cards on draw phase. As you can probably tell, this is very good for long game. Our winning condition requires stalling, although opponent usually surrenders before that happens. Last point can come in handy in some situation, but it's not that important. Since we run 3 copies of this card, the ability to banish and discard second copy and normal summon this turn to disable all opponent monster, which sounds strong, but the condition is hard and I have never encountered the niche situation needing this effect, so you can disregard. Before showing you the decklist, let's demonstrate it with one gameplay. Since we run no hand trap, we have no choice but to face full combo opponent board. We also run lot of traps, which cannot be triggered until the turn after it is set. So very obvious, this is go first deck. But that doesn't mean go second is loss. Let's show you how to break this full power Mathmech board, which is currently strongest deck. Opponent has Super Factorial, which can remove up to 3 cards from field and hand to graveyard. Since they also have Diameter in graveyard, this gives them an Omni Negate. Dark Fluid can send either Mariologic Aggregator or Cybursty Saveworm, which is face-up negate or spell trap negate. Firewall Dragon Singularity can target bounce up to different type of monsters in control or graveyard. Since they have Xyz and Fusion, this gives them 2 bounces. And the other set card is probably either Crossout, Imperm or Called By based on what people usually run. Normal Summon Inspector Border. Opponent chose to dump Aggregator to negate Inspector. Note that Inspector has effect that prevents all activation of monster effects up to number of different types on field. The only type currently on field is Link. Dark Fluid counts as 1 activation, therefore Aggregator cannot activate negate. Next, activate Kaiser Colosseum. Since I have at least 1 monster on field, Colosseum prevent them from placing any monster that would exceed the amount I currently have. Note that since this is continuous spell, their Desaverworm is currently disabled by Inspector. But even if it can negate, it won't work against continuous spell because it has no destruction, or disabled, bounce or remove. They now cannot activate Super Factorial because that require placing another monster on field. Use Time-Tearing Morganite to draw 2 starting next draw phase in preparation for long game. Then just set Floodgates to grind opponent down. Rest are kinda self-explanatory, so fast forwarding. You might think otherwise, but this deck has low skill floor but high skill ceiling. For example, going first is easy, but going second requires you to understand opponent's deck, either to bait their negate, or sometimes hold on to quick play spell without Runick Fountain and anticipate that they will activate certain stuff before turn end. Majority of modern Yu-Gi-Oh strategy resolves around going first and building big negate board to stop anything your opponent want to do on second turn. Other than deck building, the main skill involved in that is remembering your combo. Since turns are short, what you do after is usually doing negate response. But this stun deck plays stall, naturally long games. The more turns there are, the more decisions you have to make, which is prompt to human mistakes. Sometimes making sacrifices, saving some cards for later. While we have more time here, let's go over some tips. Remember the last activation of your Runick quick spell, which all have effect of skipping your battle phase. Make it a habit of going into battle manually, because unless you trigger the skip this way, it won't remove the skip counter. You never know that rare occasion that you do need to attack. Remember the restrictions placed by your pots. For example, Pot of Extravagance requires you to activate it first thing on main phase 1. You cannot draw any cards by card effects does not restrict target search. For instance, under its effect, you can search Runick Fountain using Hugin, but you cannot draw card using Fountain. Pot of Duality and Card of Demise require you to not special summon during the turn. Card recycled by Runick Fountain is placed at the bottom of the deck. However, you can change that by doing a shuffle. Any search effect would trigger a shuffle. For example, Excavate or Search Certain, which require you to look into your deck. And here is the deck list. Other than the Runick cards, other extra deck monsters are not mandatory. They are rarely used. If you're looking for substitutions, consider other link card that can do removal or rank for Xyz. Synchro Zone, which prevent declaration of attack except Synchro monsters, which is very useful as stall card. All meta decks nowadays either don't run any Synchro or staples like Baron and recently Dispater. If you look at current top-tier meta decks, there can be only one shuts down Makmak who runs only Cybers, Dragon Link who runs what the name implies, Pearly for Fairy, Labyrinth for Fiend, Rivalry shuts down Vanquish Soul, Tearlaments who runs all different types, and Kashtira is kinda mix of both. And what all those decks in common is that they do lot of special summons. Colosseum require us to have at least one monster on field to use its effect, which is an advantage for Runick deck because each of our quick spell can summon a Runick fusion monster. Next gameplay features breaking down full power Pearly board. Thank you for watching.